Evio.
Welcome back to the Devil's Ledger. We made it. Another calendar flipped, another year survived. Here's hoping 2026 brings you a few victories, a few quiet mornings, and more moments of gratitude than regret. And if last year felt chaotic, unsettling, or like the universe kept nudging you towards the edge, well, maybe that's the theme. Maybe the world's always been that way, and we're just finally noticing. Either way, I'm glad you're here. So let's get into it. We start, as always, with the creepiest thing that I heard this week. Now, they say that the cold can lie. That when the world turns white and the wind begins to scream, you can start seeing things that aren't there. Shapes, movement, a woman standing in the snow where no human being should be able to stand. Yeah. In rural Japan, stretching from the 1700s into the early 1900s, there are dozens of records. Diary entries, temple notes, police logs, even folk tales written like warnings, describing the same thing. A pale woman appearing during blizzards. Always when someone's lost, always when someone is close to freezing. And she's beautiful in the way that winter is beautiful, quiet, empty, and indifferent to whether you survive. They call her Yuki-onna, the snow woman. In one of the oldest accounts, 2 woodcutters were trapped in a storm. They had built a small shelter and were waiting for daylight when the wind slipped open the door, and she drifted in with it. Not walking, not stepping, just appearing. Her hair was long and black, whipping around in the storm that somehow didn't touch her skin. Her kimono was white, like she had been carved from the snow itself. She leaned over the younger man first, exhaled slowly, and frost climbed over his face like spider webs. His body went stiff. He stopped breathing without ever screaming. The older man, shaking, begged. He promised he would never speak of her if she let him live. She stared at him and then vanished. Now, he kept his promise for years, and when he finally broke it and told someone what he had seen, his wife, pale, quiet, cold to the touch, smiled sadly. According to legend, she disappeared that night. Now, there are other stories, travelers who swear they heard a woman crying in the darkness and followed the sound. Men who found a girl barefoot in the snow asking to be carried. Fathers who opened their doors to a stranger, warmed her by the fire, only to feel the room drain of heat as she sat there, staring into the flames. In nearly every account, she asks for help. That's important. She doesn't chase, she doesn't scream. She lets you choose her. And when you get close, she leans forward and gently breathes, not into your lungs, but out of them, pulling the warmth from your blood, the fire from your chest, until your body simply gives up. Doctors who found the victims back then wrote things like death by exposure, frozen in place, peaceful expression on the face. But locals didn't believe that. They said she finds people who are already half lost, already one step past exhaustion, and offers what looks like mercy, like rest, maybe warmth, a woman's voice in the storm. Today, hikers still report strange figures in white standing at the edge of snowfall. Drivers swear they've seen a woman on the roadside in winter, staring at them as they pass. And the old warning remains the same. If the snow is falling sideways and you hear a woman calling for help, don't answer. Because the storm may not be what kills you. It might only be introducing you. And that was the creepiest thing I heard this week. So moving on, this week on The Devil Within, we're starting the year with something truly strange. The Kelly Hopkinsville encounter, summer of 1955. A modest farmhouse, a working class family already on edge, and then shapes in the dark. What they described wasn't sleek UFO visitors or benevolent star travelers. These were small, goblin-like beings with glowing eyes, long arms, and movements that didn't quite match anything human. Soon, gunfire tore through the night. Neighbors heard the panic. Police arrived expecting drunk troublemakers and instead found terrified witnesses, bullet casings, and reports that refused to line up neatly. Was it fear? A prank spiraled out of control? Owls mistaken for Martian invaders? Or did something actually crawl out of the shadows that night? In this two-part series, we'll walk every step. The statements, the contradictions, military involvement, and the cultural ripple effect that still influences alien lore today. This isn't just a campfire story. It's the blueprint for modern close encounter mythology. On the Ides of April, we continue in the world that we've explored these last few Rasputin episodes, and we stay firmly in the tragedy. We begin our deep dive into the fall of Tsar Nicholas II and the annihilation of the Romanov dynasty. Imagine ruling an empire built on ceremony and wealth and divine right, while the world around you collapses under hunger, war, and revolution. Nicholas wasn't a villain out of a fairy tale, but he wasn't quite a hero either. He was a man in over his head, surrounded by bad advisors, blinded by privilege, and utterly unprepared for a nation demanding change. And then came the arrests. The house arrest, the isolation, the slow, sinking realization that there would be no rescue. And what finally happened in that basement, the gunfire, the confusion, the bodies, it didn't just end a royal bloodline. It symbolized the death of one world and the terrifying birth of another. We'll follow the politics, the myths, the conspiracy theories, and the long echo of a dynasty erased almost overnight. So, let's talk about our friends over at Taboo Treasures. Looks like they're still thawing out from the holidays. They're buried in boxes, warehouses, and back rooms full of history nobody wants to talk about. And honestly, they deserve another week to shake the glitter out of everything. But when they come back, it's going to be worth it. Artifacts with cursed reputations, objects that shouldn't exist, items tied to legends, crime, and the deeply uncomfortable corners of human behavior. Let them sleep. Next week, they'll drag something unbelievable back into the light. On Criminal Mischief, this week is heavy and deeply unsettling. We tell the story of Anna Walsh, a mother of three who disappeared from her Massachusetts home on New Year's Day, 2023. At first, it sounded like a work emergency. Her husband Brian insisted she left early, rushed, focused, and needed elsewhere. He painted himself as the worried spouse, cooperative, helpful, confused. But investigators know something most people forget. The truth tends to leak. Little inconsistencies started appearing. Timelines stopped matching. Search histories raised eyebrows. And then there were the details no husband should ever be connected to, not if his wife truly vanished into thin air. As detectives pulled, the story unraveled, thread by disturbing thread, revealing obsession, control, and choices that feel almost cinematic in their cruelty. What happened to Anna is more than a crime story. It's a nightmare. A reminder that sometimes the most frightening monsters are the ones standing in the kitchen, making breakfast, telling everyone that everything's fine. Definitely a can't miss. This week's recommendation for horror movies: Primate. A sweet pet monkey, a tragic accident, and then something breaks. Suddenly the loving companion becomes something else entirely. Territorial, violent, unpredictable, and driven by something that looks a lot like rage. Yes, it has shades of Cujo and Christine and every things that go very badly with the beloved animal movie of the 80s. But somehow, Primate leans into the chaos harder. The tension builds slower. And by the time everything erupts, you'll be gripping the couch and reconsidering every emotional support animal TikTok you've ever watched. It's weird, it's fun, and it taps into that primal fear that nature doesn't always want to play by our rules. And finally, big announcement for the 1st of January 2026, we have a new show dropping on the Evio network. If you're familiar with the comedy of Josh Wolf, you're going to love what we have. It's called Finding Me with Josh Wolf. It's a daily diary where Josh speaks directly to you about accountability, about authenticity, and about becoming the best version of himself. And he's inviting all of us to go along on the journey with him And maybe we can internalize some of what he's going through and look at our own lives. It's raw, it's vulnerable, probably funnier than it should be at times, and definitely introspective. So, it's a great way to start the day. Again, Finding Me with Josh Wolf, daily podcast on the Evio network, starting today. And if you haven't already, follow all of our shows. It helps more than you think. Rate and review. It pushes us higher and brings more listeners into the dark. Share with someone who lives for mystery, for horror, history, and things that shouldn't exist but somehow do. And now, if you got a little taste for comedy also. And keep an eye on everything rolling out across the entire Evio creative universe this week and this year. More stories, more shows, more questions, more episodes that stay with you long after you shut the lights off. We'll see you there. And don't forget, check the show notes for amazing deals from the great companies that support the Evio network and long-form storytelling. Until next time, stay curious and stay careful. The Devil's Ledger is an Evio production recorded live at Bel Air Studios in Los Angeles, California. For The Devil's Ledger, I'm your writer and host, Brandon Morgan.